Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield. On tonight's show, she's back, the very lovely Emma Wolfe, writer, broadcaster, journalist, political commentator. Thanks for coming back, Emma. And our left in the corner tonight is old age pensioner Stephen Pound. Thanks for coming back on the show, Stephen, for about the 20th time. Hello, Amir.
Evening all.
Evening all, Stephen Pound. Look, this week we've had the visit of President Macron to, he's been into Westminster actually, he's been into the palace where he held court there, but looking at it, I'm getting a lot of people contacting me, guys, and saying he looks like, Starmer looks like the whipping boy of Macron. He's snivelling around him, he's almost like a young boy looking up to him as some sort of political hero. What's going on? Isn't it time he got off his knees and stuck up to this man?
And what was the point of Brexit? Weren't we going to take back control? We weren't going to be in hock to the EU. So now we've agreed, I think we're going to hand over another 400 million. We've already spent well over £500 million in the past 3 years. And for what? France have done nothing. France have done... Oh, the other day, they took a penknife to a couple of dinghies.
You say for nothing, Emma. They've spent that money on a Stanley knife.
Great, yeah, absolutely. They did destroy that one boat, but they said they weren't going to do it again. That was just an example of something or other. Do you know what I would do? I would cancel those payments to France until we start to see some action, and I would use a few quid to get a private border security force who would actually do the job. Yeah.
Well, let's go to our left in the corner. Stephen, you was a seafaring man back in the day. Yeah. Are we being taken for mugs?
No, of course, look, nobody can really look up to President Macron, to be honest, because he's shorter than I am. But, I mean, the reality is you can actually catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. If we're going to actually do anything about this crisis, and I have to say, it did my heart good to see Le Plod heading out into the water, getting their booties wet and stabbing that boat. Brilliant. Let's have some more of that.
Isn't it funny, though, that the BBC TV cameras just happened to be there at the same time?
Well, I think they're there all the time, mate. I mean, I'm constantly being seen all this stuff about the jungle. But the French now have this thing called the Compagnie de Marche, which is actually a police force specifically to go out 30 metres. Look, you get more done by working with people. You can talk about paying money for private security. That's for the birds. You can have the Wagner group out there. You couldn't actually stop people once they're 30 metres off the French coast.
Why?
Sorry, it's the law of the sea.
Come on, Stephen. Let's stop this nonsense right now about you can't go out 30 metres. Look, we know, and I put this to the Security Minister just this week in Parliament, there are terrorists and potential terrorists, rapists, murderers, criminals coming over these boats. Isn't it time we put our own country first and stop these people even entering our country?
Lee, what do you actually mean by that? Look, you and I would agree. We agree that there are some complete wrong-uns have come over there. All the more reason for processing them, fingerprinting them, ID carding them, and banging them back if they are wrong.
What a load of rubbish, Emma.
The idea that we can actually put a Mexican wall across the channel is for the birds. It's rubbish. The Tories would have done it. You couldn't do it. Nobody can do it.
We can do it.
You have to work with the other countries.
Of course we can, and we need to stop being a soft touch. We need to stop being so welcoming and making it so easy. As for this thing we've been hearing all week, one in, one out. We don't want one in, one out. What don't they get? We want none in and 44,000 out. Well, there are legal... No, look.
And the rest?
Britain, and the rest. But I'm talking about the year since Starmer has been in power. We're topping 44,000 illegal entrants. There are legal ways to enter our country. Britain is a very welcoming country. We've always helped and given sanctuary to those who are fleeing war, persecution. We can't do that if we are being overrun by people entering illegally. That is not the way to do it.
Why are we putting these people, these illegal migrants, into hotels?
Well, we're not putting all of them in hotels. A fair few of them in places like Marston, in sort of like reception centres. But look, the previous government tried to bite the bullet on this. Do you remember the Bibby Stockholm? The Hulk moored off Portland Bill. There was an outcry. Somebody killed themselves. The people were demonstrating on the street. We've got to do something. We've got to go back from the step. Instead of actually worrying about where they're going to stay for the next 5 years and get permanent citizenship, we've got to sort them out on day one.
Yeah, but Macron,
if necessary, on Dover Beach.
Listen.
What's wrong with that?
Listen. Yeah. Macron, for all his faults, he actually said we're making it far too comfortable for illegal migrants.
Yeah, but as for Macron, he's right. He's right. It is very easy. I mean, I live in central London. What about the encampments right near us, opposite University College London Hospital, which is a leading European hospital, a centre of medical excellence? There are huge tent encampments. The filth, the dirt, the unsanitary nature of these encampments springing up all over cities and towns across the UK. But as for Macron, he's right. But for him having the cheek to blame us for the migrant problem. Where are they coming from, mate? Where are they crossing from?
They're coming from France. I mean, France historically have not been very good, have they, Stephen, at defending their borders. They've got open borders, and they've opened their borders now to the UK as a pathway.
They've got land
guiding them
borders.
out.
Yeah.
They're guiding them out into the channel.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah.
Bon voyage.
And every time the TV cameras turn up, they get a Stanley knife at $5 worth and just slash
Well,
it in.
we've only got one land border with the EU. You know, they've got about 5. But look, yeah, the reality of the situation. If you go to France, you go to Paris, and you know, and I don't know what your views are about visiting Le Continent, but they've got massive, great encampments all over. They go by the garden.
Whatever
wall.
do you mean, Stephen?
You can hardly.
Whatever do you mean about me visiting the continent?
Yeah, well, I don't know, because occasionally you have been slightly dismissive of our French brothers and sisters.
I'm a sophisticated, well-known traveller.
Indeed, OK.
But what's that got to do with it, that they've got the same encampment problem in Paris?
The point I'm making is
It's a race to the bottom again, Emma.
It's a problem across Europe.
Can I
We
just
don't
say,
want to, Stephen.
No. One of the reasons why France has the same interests is that the French do not want the encampments in Paris. What they want to do is to push the whole thing back. Now, if there's this thing called the Med 5, I don't know if you know, the 5 Mediterranean countries. You know,
I think
like
it's
Cyprus.
the Mad 5 that you're talking about,
Well,
not the Med 5, the Mad 5.
Well, OK, but the Med 5, there's 5 countries on. They're objecting like mad to what France and the UK are doing, because they say we're going to push people back to Greece and to Cyprus and to Malta, where they will then claim asylum. Well, fair play. If people come there, then they'll have to defend their border. We've got to actually put the whole thing into reverse. At the moment, it's all moving in one direction. We've got to move it back. And if it goes back to the Turkish-Greek border...
moving in one direction, which is our
a lot of arm flapping there from Stephen Powell.
And the point is, Stephen, we can't help people who genuinely need our help when we're absolutely overrun by people who are just coming as economic migrants.
Well, that's the one in, one out.
Coming for a better life.
Stephen, don't start with that nonsense.
One in, one out.
We want 0 in, the lot out.
Well, no, hang on a sec. You don't disagree with Emma so much. I think she's actually made a good point there. You know, the idea about helping the people we do want to help. The thing about the one in, the idea is people who've actually got links with this country, they've got skills, they've got medical skills, engineering skills, that we should actually welcome the people. I'm entirely with Emma on that. But it's those people we should be, not after single scroats from the South Balkans who come over here and rip Rolexes off people's wrists. I've got no time for them. I'll put them in the boot of my
No time for them. The watch thieves.
Honestly, Stephen, I don't know when the last time you were in contact with the education system.
Or the real world.
Or
the real world.
In this country. I know you don't have young kids, but to try and bring up children in this country at the moment, you know, public services are absolutely on their knees.
Yep.
And as for Starmer's government, they can't even sort out the NHS and the constantly striking doctors.
Well, indeed, Stephen.
Well, we're not giving in to the striking doctors. I mean, come on, the doctors...
Oh, great. So we'll just face the strikes for the next 6
I'm sorry.
months.
I was going to say I'd put money on that. But look, the reality is, waiting this to come down, we're actually making some improvement.
That's rubbish,
That is
Stephen.
not true.
Wes Streeting is talking
Not
more
true.
sense than any health secretary I've heard of.
Absolute
last
rubbish.
20 years.
What, when he came in, he gave them 22% within weeks.
Yeah.
So now they've got him over a barrel.
Yeah.
That's
They're rubbing their hands together,
that's
Stephen, the
sensible. I
doctors,
don't know what you
surely.
mean.
No, come on. I think public sympathy has actually drained well away. You know, they've had something like 29% pay rise. What's all that about? Come on. What about the nurses? What about the police officers? What about the armed forces? What about giving them some money?
I agree with that. I agree with that, yeah.
Absolutely. But what about regular working people who are every single day not claiming benefits, just getting up, getting the kids to school and going to work?
And meanwhile, let's not forget, Emma, that these huge pay rises need paying for. At the same time, the Labour Party are driving the wealth creators, the entrepreneurs, the super wealthy out of this country.
Driving them away, and they don't have money for pensioners, for kids, for people who are sick and need help in the NHS. No money for that, but we do have money for Ukraine, for sending more money to France, for foreign aid. We have money when we want it.
The GB Energy.
GB Energy, which is what exactly? Has anyone...
Foreign climate aid, 12 billion quid.
I really do despair. I mean, there is money when they want it. There is money to send abroad. Yeah. People all over this country are saying, but what about our own? What about British people? That's not racist.
£500 million for African farmers.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, we're fleecing our own farmers.
These projects all over. And what's wrong with growing your own? What's wrong with supporting the farming industry and not hitting them with inheritance tax and actually supporting the cultivation of our green and pleasant land?
Stephen's looking confused now, but he wants to come back on that, don't you, Stephen? The inheritance
I bet,
tax.
Stephen, you support the farmers. Come on.
I do not support the barley barons who own thousands and thousands of acres who've been milking the system. I support people like Jeremy
Most
Clarkson.
farmers are
Jeremy
not...
Clarkson said we should be going after those people who are milking the system. He actually said he bought Diddley Scott Farm to avoid paying tax, inheritance tax. Come on, it's one of the biggest scams. The Tories and the Daily Telegraph in the last government said we should actually reform the scam of giving farmers not just free petrol, free diesel, but also 50% of inheritance tax when the rest of us pay 100%.
It doesn't get that very often, but you need to come back on that.
That is so wrong to characterise farmers
it was a Tory policy.
as some kind of financial scammers. The majority of farmers in this country are doing such a tough job. Would you want to be getting up at 3, 4 in the morning every day, winter and summer, and trying to make a living from the land when the huge amount of imports coming into this country much cheaper, which the government are encouraging?
So why do we buy them? Why on earth do we stop buying avocados from Peru? Why don't we actually start buying local produce? I mean, I can grow so much on my allotment. I would actually rather see more people growing local products.
Again,
here we go.
Why don't we have some pride in our country? Never mind talking about things. We actually talk about buying British.
Steve,
it's an old slogan, but what's wrong with that, Lee?
Absolutely. Let's buy British. Let's support our British farming industry. Don't bring in avocados from Peru. People's tastes have changed. Some people like to pay £5 for a foreign avocado. That's irrelevant. You can't. A farmer down in farmer down in Norfolk can't grow avocados.
There you go.
You can in a polytunnel, actually.
You can't grow avocados on Stephen Pound's allotment.
That's
breaking news, by the way. Look.